Welcome to episode 20 of America in Crisis, Breaking the Cycle of Addiction. My name is David Hunt and I am your host. Set your DVRs to record so you can share the show with your entire family. This could be the most powerful show I have ever done, and this needs to be shared and it needs to be seen. Today's guests are the Reverend and Dr. Norma Heath and Ziona Rivera. Norma is the founder of Amron International. Norma was born in Honduras, and while growing up in the United States with a drug addiction, went from being homeless to graduating Harvard University with a BA in psychology. Ziona is the Chief Executive Officer of Amron and a peer support activist. She is a published author, public speaker, and spiritual consultant. Ziona is also Norma's daughter. Norma, Ziona, welcome to our show.
Thank you. It's
David.
great to be here. Thank you, David.
Norma, I'll start with you. I see you were born in Honduras. How long did you live there?
Yes, I was born in Honduras, and I lived there until the age of 4 years old.
Okay.
4 years old was 1970. That's when my family came to America, and we emigrated to Boston.
And did you speak English or did you start from scratch?
I had to start from scratch. I could not speak English at all. The schools in Boston were segregated, and also the neighborhoods were segregated. So naturally, I would go to a black school and live in a black neighborhood, but the black kids did not accept me because I couldn't speak English, and also I looked differently as far as the style of dressing. Back then, they wore bell bottoms while I wore straight legs. They had afros. I had plaits in my hair.
So that was growing up. How did that make you feel?
It got to the point where I ended up hating myself. Not only being bullied by the black kids at the black school, at the black neighborhoods. 1974, when the schools desegregated,
Okay.
we moved into a white neighborhood, and I was also being bullied on by the white kids. So therefore, I started to hurt myself as far as doing drugs to escape. I hated myself, and I felt like everyone hated me. I just wanted to have a friend. I wanted to feel like I belonged, and I didn't get that.
And drugs, did they make you feel better or just bring you into another world?
The drugs absolutely made me feel better. Once I started the drugs, I was being abused from the age of 9 till when I was 12. When I picked up the first joint at 12 years old, I had the courage to tell the abuser no, and it never happened again. Also, I finally made friends, and these were the friends that were smoking weed and drinking. They were the ones that accepted me.
Was that the only drug you were using?
At the time, I started out with alcohol and marijuana.
Okay.
In my late 20s, when I was pregnant with Ziona, I got into crack cocaine. And that was the drugs that brought me to my knees. Crack cocaine was the drugs that had me working for an escort service as a prostitute.
Oh my God.
Crack cocaine was the drugs that had me abusing my kids. What I didn't know, but what I know now, is that I also have mental health issues. And the drugs were a way of me self-medicating.
What was crack like being on it? What did it actually do for you? I know other people have experience with different drugs, marijuana,
Yeah.
heroin. We don't hear crack that much on our show.
Okay.
What did crack do for you?
Crack was a cheap, very fast high. For $20, you get approximately 2 or maybe 3 hits off of a crack pipe. Once you take that first hit, it's like your problems are gone, because I'm not worried about anymore that I have to have money for medication, or I have to pay my rent, or I have to pay the light bill, or I have to buy gas for the car or food for my children. I'm no longer worrying about anything. The only thing that I'm worrying about is where can I get my next hit. So it did for me, it kept me from thinking about all the things that was going on in my life that I didn't want to deal with at that particular time.
And you never wanted to go back to reality, so you kept buying more and more drugs?
Absolutely. I was kind of hoping that I would have ended up blowing my brains out with the crack. I remember telling some of the people in the room that I was getting high with, just give me all the crack so I can burn my brains out. And they would tell me, no, slow down, stop, and try to stop me from actually blowing my brains out, because that's what it felt like when I took a blast, that my brains was going to get blown out of my head.
Now, I don't even know how to word it this way, but you did it as an escape. Did the drug give you any enjoyment, such as a good feeling or anything? What was it like to be actually on the drug? Could you have a conversation with me on the drug if you were on it right now?
Well, on the drugs, what it did was, once you, I'll use a real life example. When I used to be going with my friends to get the drugs, we were all happy, we'll be in the car and we'll be singing, there was a song that was out by Rob Bass, and it would go, I want to rock right now. I'm Rob Bass and I came to get down. I'm not internationally known, but I'm known to rock a microphone. So crack is called rock.
Okay.
So we would say, I want to rock right now. We were very happy. Once we actually purchased the drugs, now our adrenaline is pumping to get somewhere to do the drugs. Once we got to the place where we were going to do the drugs, everybody's fighting to go first. Usually it's the one with the most money that gets to go first. And that person will take a blast, put it on a pipe, burn that pipe, and then everything goes quiet.
I just heard you do a little rap here and there for a second. What did you do as an escape? What was after the drugs and you were trying to get away? What made you happy?
Before I got on crack, what made me happy was rapping on the mic. I love to rap. I am a product of hip hop. Hip hop started approximately 50 years ago. I'm 54 years old, so I grew up in that culture and in that era. So hip hop music helps me to escape. So I ended up writing a rap with two other girls, Honey Bee, Sweet Pea, and I'm Sugar Bee. We wrote a rap record when we were kids, and that helped me to escape, just being able to write down my feelings. So it was the writing piece that really, really helped me when I was going through all those dark times. So when I was a kid, I did rapping. As an adult, I feel like it's time for us to make another song, because a lot of people say, oh, you're too old to be a rapper. But what was I supposed to do? I grew up in the hip hop era.
Yes.
What are we as hip hop pioneers supposed to do? Stop liking rap? Stop playing rap? I don't understand.
No.
You know,
So
it's a
you
brand new culture.
So you were in high school when you did the rap?
Yes, I
In
was
fact,
in high school.
I just happened to see a video sitting right here of you rapping going back to your high school days.
Oh!
Let's take a look.
Come on, Sugar Bee, and put him to a test.
Yes, I'm Sugar Bee. I put you to a test. I'm a sweet white girl. It's going to be the best. My favorite thing is being on the mic and running down my rhyme. It's just what I like. My real name is Norma, and I'm dressed to a T. And here's a little message. And here's a little message. And here's a little message to the sucker MCs. When I'm running down my rhyme, cool as can be. Don't want nobody staring right at me, because it takes my rhyme to write them down. And next thing you know, I hear all over town. See, I was dissing at a party doing what I like. And then a sucker MC just got on the mic. Did she say my rhyme? 2 and 3. I busted the door. She said, hey, Sugar Bee, rock to the funky beat. So I grabbed the mic. I ran it down right. The look on her face was a terrible fright. I said, you sucker MC, you look like a swine. When somebody say a rap, you write down the rhyme. A sweet is kidding, fine is rhyme. I never try to duplicate anybody's rhyme. When I move my mic, I try to be loose. I got more rhymes than Mother Goose. I got more rhymes than the clock tell time. And I never do use the same old line like that, y'all. And you don't stop, you don't stop, you don't stop. You see, I rap to the boogie, I rap to the back, I rap to Sweet Pea, cause I know she can hang a sweet.
That was good. Why did you give it up?
Actually, I gave it up because people around me, in which I really want the viewing audience to know, don't let anyone stomp on your dreams. But people around me was telling me that I could not rap, I had no talent, I needed to give it up. And guess what? I listened to those people. That was back then when I didn't know any better. Today I know. If you like to do something, you might as well do it, because people are going to talk about you, whether you're doing bad, whether you're doing good. So you might as well do the things that you love doing and let them talk.
Nice. Ziona, do you think today's music glorifies the lyrics and makes drug use seem normal?
I wouldn't say that rap music and hip hop promotes drug use or glorifies it. I feel like it's actually the environments that we come from, the struggle, seeing it on your corner, seeing your parents do it and use. I feel like those are more, you're more susceptible to becoming a drug addict and abusing drugs if you grew up around it in your home more so than the music. I feel like because before they were rapping about using drugs and what we define as glorifying it, they didn't, and the drugs was still there. So it has to be something else that's letting people to go into, using drugs, not just music.
But I know when I was growing up, if you saw an actor on TV smoking or drinking a beer, you'd want to emulate that actor. And oh yeah, well, he made it look cool. I want to make it look cool, so I'm going to drive that car he drives. I'm going to smoke that cigarette he smokes. Growing up, that's what people wanted for branding. Always have people do it. So you figure we're hearing rap music nowadays. If you keep talking about drugs are good, go out, get dry, drink.
Yeah.
People like, I want to do that. That sounds like fun if it's over and over again.
Yeah, I can understand where it can play a role in someone being impressionable to think that those messages are, to glorify drug use or addiction or drug abuse. But when a person goes to do drugs, I don't think they say, I'm gonna do this drug because my favorite rapper does it. I think they're trying to escape something, like my mother was, trying to escape trauma, trying to escape pain. And yeah, I feel like drugs are bad, but there's things that are causing people to do those things that we need to, intercept. If I met a youth that was doing drugs like my mom at 12, I would actually, break it down to get to the root of the problem. What is causing her to do drugs?
Now that's a common sense statement. People don't realize, let's not treat the symptom, let's treat the problem. If the person is doing drugs, that's why I asked the question to you, Norma, was it recreationally or were you trying to do an escape? If you're using the drug for an escape, is there another escape we can put away from reality that's not a drug? Get you involved. That's why we had our first guest was of the Phoenix. There was a gym and a membership. You go in, you do exercise, it gets your mind off of it. We've had Freddie Gonzalez from Freddie Life Fitness on, and he's another gym. It's let's get you into exercise and get you away from the street. Part of his show was, it's a Friday night, I have nothing to do, I can hang out with my friends and do drugs. It's boring, but I don't want to sit home at my house. Oh, I can go and exercise. So some of these different areas, if you hit the nail on the head of all my guests, if you can get to the root of the problem, is there something else you can turn to rather than a drug to get you away from it? So,
But definitely,
go ahead.
Definitely, once you decide to put down the drugs, there's something positive that you need to pick up and put in that area.
Can you elaborate, please?
For example, I've been to the Phoenix.
Okay.
I got into gym, and I got into a program at the time when I first got off of drugs. I became homeless. And I got into a program called Back on My Feet Boston.
Okay.
And they help homeless people through running and walking. And it's a group of us. We pray in the morning, we run, we walk, and that's something that I put in place of the drugs. I had to do something. I had to make a schedule, live on a schedule, meaning I had to write down the time I was going to get up, the time I was going to take a shower, the time I was going to eat. All of those things had to be in a schedule for me in order to function as a normal human being.
You went to the Phoenix yourself?
I went to the Phoenix myself, and it was great.
Was Andrea there when you were there?
I don't remember the lady's name that I met there, but it was an awesome place because it's people in recovery that were interested in getting their life together, and also they were interested in networking with each other and making friends, social.
Absolutely, no, they were great. They were my first guests for my first show, and I can't thank them enough for coming on for what they do also for their program. So, question for you. How do you put this? What was it like to come home and see from school? I know it's tough being a student and to dealing with the pressures of everyday life to see mom using a substance. How did that affect you as a person?
Growing up, when my mother was on drugs, it was really bad. It was a toxic situation. She would abandon me and my brothers and sisters and abandon us to babysitters or family members, and she'll go to them and say, hey, can you watch my kids for a couple of days or a couple of weeks? And then months will go by and she's nowhere to be found. And as a young child, because I'm the youngest, I didn't know that drugs was playing the part in it. I never saw my mom actually smoke crack, but I've seen her drink, and I would see her get intoxicated. It was once I got into my teenage years when we started going to family therapy where I realized the dysfunction in the home was because of drugs. When I would go to school, I would get made fun of. Kids would call my mom a drug addict, a crackhead, and it was very hard. I would get teased for a lot of reasons, mostly because my hair was unkept, my clothes were worn out, worn down, hand-me-downs. And my mom, she couldn't do more than just to keep a roof over our head or just to give us food. She couldn't do everything because of the drugs was making her so incapacitated.
And I'm sure it was costing money too that could have been allocated for better things in your eyes.
Yes, yes, yes.
And you still love your mother, obviously, through all that time.
I love her dearly.
As a child, again, like we said before, we could stop this camera at any time and take if we have to. As a child, what was it like as a person to walk home, Mommy, I'm home, can you help me with my schoolwork? And Mom's under the influence on the couch. How is it a human being? Did that make you feel?
It was very tough. I couldn't ask my mom for help with homework. The couple of times that I did go to my mom and ask her to help me with my homework, she beat me.
Oh, God.
And one time it got so extreme that she threw my school books at me and, you know, cursed some profanities at me. And she called the police, and she tried to get the police to remove me from the house. And they couldn't do that because there was no, like, I wasn't fighting against her. They realized that my mother was the one that had the issue, and that she was having problems. It was very toxic. I couldn't ask my mom for help with my homework. I had to do it all myself. And I couldn't ask my older sister because she was addicted to drugs as well.
I was going through psychosis at the time that I beat her when she asked me for homework. My mind at that time was telling me that she really knew what to do. She just wanted me to do it. That's what my mind told me. I didn't understand.
And this is because the drugs took over and gave you a different perception of what's really happening.
Because of my mental illness, psychosis. The drugs was all because I was self-medicating.
Okay.
I found that out. So I was in psychosis at the time when she asked me. So I wasn't in my right mind. They gave me a mental health diagnosis, but it came after that time. So I just started beating her because my mind told me something else, and I called the police, and thank God for the Boston Police Department that realized that I was the one that was having the issue and not my daughter. So they tried to calm me down, and they let me know, look, ma'am, if you don't calm down, you're going to prison. Your daughter did nothing but ask you how to do her homework. So
It must be tough. I mean, you love your mother. Even when she was hitting you, you still loved her, but she was your mother, and you just want a little bit of attention.
Yeah. I didn't know what was wrong with her. I didn't know what was going on. I was unaware. I wasn't familiar. And she was undiagnosed at that time for a long period, like all of my childhood. She didn't become diagnosed until I had already moved out and matured into, you know, society.
Did you try to find any help? Was there help out there? Was there something you were trying to do for your mom? Were there any places you could hook her up with?
I couldn't do anything. My power was taken from me. I didn't have anybody to call to talk to about my problems or her problems. I went to therapy. From a young age, I was diagnosed with insomnia and adult depression and a list of other mental illnesses. And when I would go to therapy, I would just lie there, say ask me about my home situation, how my family, do I feel safe? And I didn't want my mom to get in trouble, or I didn't want me to get in trouble.
Of course, yeah.
So for years I lied and said, no, everything is great at home, and kept up the
charade, because the help was out there, but if you asked for the help, you were afraid they were going to do something to hurt your mom.
Exactly.
Now, you've made it too, I see books on our table. You became an accomplished writer. How did that all come about, and what can you tell us about the books?
Well, I became published when I was working with a literacy program, and when I left that literacy program and the program kind of shut down or moved on, I ended up going on to self-publish 2 more books.
And can you give us the name of the books?
Division the Veil.
And what is that about?
Division the Veil is about 3 young adolescent women who go to a rehabilitation unit to confront mental illness and drug addiction and other issues. And it's a short story encompassed with a list of poems. And The Mental Stigma is the republishing of Division the Veil, where I self-published.
And our last one.
Love and Suicide is a collection of poems. I call it a collage, a Romeo and Juliet, Age of Aquarius style poems for when you're at your highest of emotions, when you're at your best, and when you're at your lowest of times in despair.
If somebody wanted to pick these up, where would they find them? Is this an Amazon thing, or where do you find them?
Yeah, you could definitely find it online. If you Google books by Ziona or The Mental Stigma, Love and Suicide, you'll find that they're on Amazon, Kindle, Barnes & Nobles, Blurb.com, and also Division the Veil is in Minuteman libraries across Massachusetts, I believe.
What can you tell us about drugs and suicide? I have one of our guests is going to be returning to our show to talk about is it an overdose or is it suicide? Mm-hmm. And the last thing I know a parent wants to understand is, first of all, my child just overdosed. To tell a parent it was suicide, trying to get them to buy that, it's like, are you kidding? My son just died and now you're trying to tell me he killed himself? Mm-hmm. How is suicide related to drugs?
Most people who are suicidal will turn to drugs to try to kill themselves because it's like the painless way of suicide. You don't have to physically hurt yourself. It's easy to just fall asleep than it is with the drugs, than it is to use a weapon, whether that be a firearm or not to be graphic, but to, hang yourself maybe. And we say died by suicide. We don't say committed suicide, because no one commits to the act after it's done. Maybe the person regrets, we don't know. So we say the person died by suicide.
So do you think if things are really going bad and somebody's really into drugs and they just want to end it because you gave them a tool such as the drug to just go to sleep versus taking a gun and blowing their head off? I mean, I'm not suicidal in any shape or form, but if I'd be thinking, if I did this, I don't want a headshot. I don't want someone to look at a coffin and see me like that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want my family to go through that. Why don't I just go to sleep and not wake up? Or do you think the drug sort of convinces the person, hey, you can go out feeling good and it's going to contribute to it, versus the person like myself, I don't want to stab myself, it'd probably be painful, or I don't want to blow my head off, it'd be messy. If that drug wasn't there being such an easy alternative, do you think if that drug didn't exist, people would say, yeah, it looks like I feel, I don't gotta take out a gun? Do you think the drug just makes it too convenient?
I don't think the drug makes it too convenient if the person knows. The reason why I speak about the suicide is because I've been battling chronic suicidal ideation since I was about 9. Before I was 12, I attempted suicide 4 or 5 times in my room. No one knew about it. I didn't get help until I was 12 or 13 when I went into the system. And the main thing for me was I tried cutting myself. I didn't want to do that. It hurt more than to ease what I was dealing with. Okay. But what I did find was taking the pills, I would at least knock out for 2 or 3 days, be comatose, and I would wake up and feel like shocked that I made it through it, or that shocked that okay, maybe I feel a little bit better now that I got 3 days of sleep, you know what I mean, off of overdosing.
I see you've gotten some help, and obviously where you are today.
Yes.
So Norma, I understand you had a major tragedy in your life, and again, as we said before, we can cut the camera if we lose composure on this. Yes. Can you share with our guests, and again, we can stop, what happened?
I was living with my high school sweetheart. We were in love since the age of 12. Later on in life, I married someone else, he married someone else, but we got back together. And we were at home one day, and I'm holding him in my arms, and he just dropped dead. He was healthy, he was young, he was 49 years old, I was 48, he was 49. He was healthy, he was young, there was nothing wrong with him, and he just died in my arms. And that and before he died, he was taking care of me because I had a major mental health breakdown. Yes. Something in my brain snapped. And once that snapped, I was unable to read and write, I was unable to cook, I was unable to drive, I couldn't do anything but lay in the bed, smoke weed, and watch 30-minute sitcoms because I could not watch the news, I couldn't watch anything of substance. And once he died in my arms, I realized that could have been me. So I ran into a church crying, high, homeless, because once he died, I was kicked out of the apartment. It was his apartment. I was kicked out the apartment. So here I am, homeless, broke, high, needing help. I went into a church, they prayed for me, and that's when my healing started. They prayed me into Rosie's Place in Boston, which was a shelter that helped me to get on my feet. And from Rosie's Place is when I met the program Back on My Feet.
Please share that with us.
That also, Back on My Feet, like I said before, they help homeless people to get back on their feet, as far as help them to look for apartments, help pray with them 3 days a week. We met 6 o'clock a.m. Having a commitment to get up early in the morning like that and work on your health and work on your physical body and your mental spirit, it really helped me.
And they gave you some structure, so things were organized.
And structure. I'm at Rosie's Place, they taught me, because I told you I could not read and write. Rosie's Place had writing programs, and I joined a writing program when I started writing again.
Okay.
So slowly but surely I started to get on my feet. I ended up going back to school, to Harvard University.
Yes, please share that with us. I saw you were on from homeless to Harvard.
Yes,
so
yes.
Let's go skip over that part and go back to your story.
Okay.
I want to bring that up a little later.
Okay, I stayed at Rosie's Place approximately 2 years. The shelter piece, you could stay for 21 days. They also have all kinds of things for women, poor and homeless women, to get into. We have philosophy classes. We have nutrition classes.
I took public policy at Rosie's Place.
We have public policy.
Yeah,
Wow.
They help you to get into Harvard, and they help with the finances and the studying, etc. And she got into the program as well.
I hope people are paying attention
Yeah.
because I never even knew that Rosie's Place did all that. All these years I thought it was just a shelter.
Yes.
So I mean, people don't even know that these programs exist. in
Oh
Rosie's.
yeah, and I'm happy to say that I was one of the people that helped along with Sarah Jurgensen to start that program.
Now let me ask you a question. How on earth did you go from homeless to Harvard University and graduating with a degree? Please fill in the steps somehow.
Yes, once I went into that church, I knew that I had a higher power on my side. So I knew that I could do anything with that higher power, and I choose to call that higher power God. God, I said, God, I want to go back to school. You know, I want to do things. I want to learn how to use a smartphone. I want to read, etc. And then God said, well, you're going to go back to school and you're going to learn how to use the smartphone. And I said, but how can I? I can't read. Now, you don't argue with God. God said to me, very loud and very clear, I am God. And once he said that, I said, okay. I called Harvard University and I told them that I was a student in the past and I would like to go back. They told me I called just in time because otherwise I would have lost all my credit because it was almost over 5 years. And they got me back into Harvard. And I must say that having a family that loves and supports me and never gave up on me no matter what is the #1 key to really help me propel to my recovery.
Do you have any other certifications other than you have now a BA in psychology? What else? What
Yes,
else do you
I am an ordained minister.
Okay.
And I have an honorary degree from the Universal Life Church. So my name is Reverend Dr. Norma, and that's the title that I use to help me do my job.
That's
in
what
the
I know you
community.
as. Okay.
Yeah, and that's what I do in my work in the community
You're a
with other
recovery
women.
coach.
I'm a recovery coach. I'm a certified paralegal.
Wow.
Yes, I'm a NAMI, National Alliance of Mental Illness.
Just about to ask you what NAMI does. What's your role with NAMI?
I am a connections facilitator, which I run support groups for people just like me that have mental health issues and that are seeking their recovery.
I heard you were also at Bay Cove at one time. What is
Oh
Bay
yeah,
Cove?
Bay Cove, yes. Bay Cove, I teach a class that's called WRAP, Wellness Recovery Action Plan. And that's a plan that we teach for people with mental illness, that when we're in our right mind, we have a plan in case it breaks down. For example, in case I start to break down, like as a matter of fact today, I was blacking out and saying, where am I? Where am I? You know, like I'm starting to break down just a little bit. I have a plan that tells my family what it is I want them to do with my health. I want to listen to a radio. I do not want my cousin contacting me. You know, it's an action plan just in case when things break down. I don't want this medication because your family don't know all the medications you've been on, you've tried, but you know this. So in your plan, it has that. Don't give me Seroquel,
Oh, yeah. Now I
etc.
understand.
So
you-
that's what I do at Bay Cove. I love it.
Okay. Now I understand you're the founder of Amron International. You have a
Yes.
logo coming up here shortly. What is Amron International?
Amron International, for 2020, we're going into a more a different way that we thought God was showing us. God had us doing recovery coaching and mental health peer specialists, which we're still doing. But we realized that people are calling and asking us to share our stories. So now we're incorporating inspirational speaking into the business. So we help people who are underrepresented, women who are coming out of prison, women who are coming out of homelessness
women.
or still homeless. What did you say?
We help men and women now. As of 2020, I am now the CEO of Amron International, and Reverend Dr. Norma is now the founder. We have 4 service windows that under those 4 services, we have like different niches. The 4 services are literary services, spiritual consultation, recovery and mental health recovery,
Okay.
and also
public speaking.
Yes, then outreach, networking, and public speaking.
Okay, so you jumped ahead of me a little bit here. How does the Amron get funded?
Amron is a volunteer company. We do not receive any funds or send out any funds to anybody. We're a volunteer company. Everything we do is under volunteer. It's under passion. We don't work under a strenuous deadline. Everyone who works with us on our executive team, we work self-paced to meet goals and deadlines with the organization. We refer each other to resources and trainings that we can also advocate for clients who may come to us and want to receive services or take some of the trainings that we did and get some of the certifications that we personally have.
Yeah, so basically, we freely and gratefully give back what was freely and gratefully given to us. But we understand that to have a business, you must make money.
Yes.
So we're talking to people now that eventually, maybe we'll figure out how to make money that way. We could support people, but we really want to stay as a volunteer organization, keep it lighthearted, keep it fun, and just keep it where we're helping the individual that wants to help. Because there's a lot of people that need to help, and there's only a handful that want to help. We're here for the people that want it.
I'm sure you're well recognized in the community. I saw that you were on WCVB's Chronicle.
Yes, yes.
What was that like to take that show? Who were you on there with?
It was Ziona and myself on Chronicle. We shared our story. It was with Nicole.
Okay.
I forgot her last name, but it was
Estefan, maybe?
Yeah, Nicole
yeah.
Estefan
Okay.
on Chronicle. And it was really fun because we went to different places to shoot. We went to a cemetery. We shot where my ex-boyfriend's grave was.
Wow.
We went to the psychiatric hospital. We did some shots there. So it was really, really fun. And knowing that, we had a platform to reach many more people than we could possibly meet in our little community, it was able to just help us propel and help other people know that we're out there, especially for people with no money.
Okay. And you were also featured on World News Tonight on ABC with David Muir.
Yes.
What was that like?
I loved it. I was shocked. And it still haven't registered yet, but people from Honduras, where we do have offices, Amron has offices in Honduras. People from Honduras saw the show and actually called the U.S. and told us that they saw me on TV. So that was amazing. It hasn't really registered yet. All I know is I'm grateful and I'm humble, and it's not me, it's not Ziona, it is our higher power. It is God that's using us, using me anyway.
You were on Chronicle with Nicole. You're on World News Tonight with David Muir across the globe. And now you're on America in Crisis with Dave Hunt.
Yes.
Now you know you've made it. When you get on America in Crisis, now you know you've made it.
Yes, we have made it. Also, we did the Henry Parker Presents CD Storm show last week.
Can you please tell us about that?
They did our story. It's called Against All Odds, Part 1.
Okay.
And we will be going into Shooter Part 2. We love it. We're excited. And if we can help just one person, we have done what we came to do. I mean, my higher power, God, wants me to help at least one person.
Okay. So what can you tell us about the Honduras office? I understand Amron is also in Honduras. What can you share about that?
Well, when we say the Honduras office, any office or headquarters that Amron may refer to, it's remote. Okay. It means everything is done online. We're trying to become all the way green company, so we try to stay away from the paper. But everything is done through internet, email, and video chat, and phone, and even fax if we have to. But we have people in Honduras that deal with that are remotely with us virtually.
So they're able virtually to give you everything they can give you in the Brockton office. In Honduras, they have access to all your knowledge and media.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand you've linked our show to that now.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I've gone international. It's finally happened.
Thank you.
Norma, do you have any final words for our viewers?
Yes. I would like for the viewers, first of all, thank everyone that tuned in today. I'm very grateful, very happy to be here. I'd like for you to know that whatever you're going through in life, no matter how old you are, no matter where you stand, you can get out of it. You can do and you can be anything that you want to be in this life within reason. You have to want to do it. You must have the faith that you can do it. Grab some support and go for it. You do it.
Ziona, and you?
I just want to say to the viewers that forgive yourself, forgive others as well. Be good to yourself. You know, if you don't want to do anything, say no. No is always a good enough answer. If you want to go for something, go for it with all of your heart, open-heartedly. Some of us are afraid to succeed, and you shouldn't be afraid to shine. You shouldn't be afraid to be happy for yourself and your loved ones.
Well put. Okay. I would like to thank today's guests, Reverend Dr. Norma Heath and Ziona Rivera, for appearing today. As always, thank you for watching. Please share this program with your social media friends. If you or someone you know is suffering from a substance abuse disorder, you can contact the Mass Substance Abuse Helpline. And as always, that number toll-free is 1-800-327-5050. The show can be seen on a rotating basis on Woburn Public Media stations and on demand at their website and on YouTube. As always, thank you to the staff of Woburn Public Media Center for making this show possible. Please enjoy our closing theme, Rise Above the Noise by Fireheart, through the credits for important contact information. That means watch all the way through, viewers. For America in Crisis, Breaking the Cycle of Addiction, I am David Hunt.
All those you judge might never die. Above the noise, you hear us cry. There are people who care. Listen to the sound if you dare. Rise above the noise in the air. The sound not heard is what we bear. Listen to the sound if you dare. Rise above the noise in the air. The sound not heard is what we bear. The whispers that I hear behind my back are those who never lost a child.